Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the SilverFox Hustle podcast. And if you just tune in for the very first time, please don't forget to click on the follow or subscribe button. We are everywhere, by the way. We are on YouTube, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are here, there and everywhere, right? And today I've got a very interesting guest, and when I say interesting, it is interesting because I got to say this. Doing an introduction for my next guest for episode number 54 is a little bit difficult because she's done so many things across like a span of career and what have you, and it'll be injustice if I say something and then I leave out something, right? So I'm just going to try to keep it as short as possible and then let her take away and tell her story. Right now, she is a former national athlete in not one, not two, but three different sports, right? Gymnastics, athletics, and springboard diving. She's a child prodigy, of course, and she participated in the SEA Games at the age of 7. Get that, 7, right? That was in 1985, and she still holds that record, by the way. Now, at 13, she won a bronze at the SEA Games in gymnastics, despite having fractured her elbow a month before. Get that. And at 15, she broke the national age group record for the sprint hurdles. At 16, she won gold at the Asian Pacific diving competition and named the best diver by the Sport Amateur Singapore Association, or Singapore Amateur Swimming Association. At 21, she picked up the violin, and she is now a music teacher and performer. She holds a Performance Diploma in violin, right? And at 27, she broke the sprint hurdles record again. Wow. Now, all that success, right, and accomplishments came with a price, and we're going to talk about that as well in detail later, and we'll talk, what went on recently, especially with what happened in the Olympics recently with sports people nowadays, with Naomi Osaka and Simone Biles. Above all, she is a wonderful person doing great things, heavily involved in the education and creating awareness for mental well-being for kids, and she is giving through music as well. Welcome to the SilverFox Hustle podcast, Eileen Chai.
Good morning, Shasi. Thank you for actually having me on SilverFox Hustle. Wow, I love the name.
Oh, thank you very much. And you know why, right?
Actually, no, sorry.
Hustle is because this is what we do. We work hard and we go on, and people like you're doing, and SilverFox obviously is because of the hair. I'm gray. It's gray every day, right?
It's called wisdom.
Thank you so much. Now, before we start off, right, Eileen, let's talk about a little bit about the Olympics recently. Have you been following?
Yes, I've been following. I mean, my mom is watching it as well. My brother is watching it as well. My brother, Daniel Chai, he was in track and field as well.
Nice.
So we've been watching as well. Yeah, got different sports, track and field, diving, of course, gymnastics. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Like I said before at the intro, right, I really don't know where to start, but I'll try my best. All right, and then let's start off with your childhood. And when I say childhood, let's take away the gymnastics part first. Right? Let's talk about your childhood in terms of the schools that you attended, your parents, siblings and things like that. Let's start off with
the family.
The family. Let's start off with that. You said you have a brother.
Yes. Well, I have two brothers.
Okay.
So I'm the youngest. I have two brothers.
Yep.
The second one, who is just a little bit older than me, he's called Daniel Chai.
Okay.
So Daniel Chai, he's a pretty well-known guitarist, musician, music arranger as well.
Nice.
Both locally as well as Southeast Asia, at least Asia.
Okay.
And he has performed for Zhang Hui Mei, Ame, Stephanie San, all the big names, JJ Lin as well.
Nice.
And he's doing a lot of music productions. And my elder brother, Christopher Chai, he is, I think now, in NCS, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, because he has just changed jobs, so I think he's a director there or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So your family, they're kind of like, were they child prodigies as well?
But I think we were all pretty high achievers.
Nice,
My two brothers, they were like one of the top students in Singapore at that point, I think in primary school, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
So and they went to various top schools too. So I think I come from a family of high achievers.
I get that. And now as we go along, we know why, right? Because it has to start from somewhere, and that is how. Now, talk about the day, right? That very day that you watched Nadia Comaneci on TV that very day?
I should show you my goosebumps now. The very fact that you're saying that now, I'm really having goosebumps.
First up, right? Tell us who this person is first, because for listeners who do not know.
So Nadia Comaneci, she was a Romanian gymnast.
Right.
Who was the first gymnast in the history of gymnastics to score a perfect 10 on the apparatus. The reason for me loving Nadia is not because the very fact that because she scored a perfect 10, but because of the way she actually moves as a gymnast. It's so beautiful, and I really wanted to fly like her. So how do I know about her was because there was a movie made about her. And my mom actually recorded it, and I would watch it every day. I'll be like, whoa, Nadia, I wish to be like you. And in actual fact, 2014, because I wrote about her in a book that I wrote, I actually sent her a copy of my book. And she actually wrote back and gave me a poster of hers.
You sent a copy of your book to
Nadia.
Wow.
Yeah, and she actually wrote back. So nice of her, right? I mean,
Really?
who am I to her? But she actually wrote back and signed on the poster that she gave it to me. Oh, I was so touched. You know, this is humility. This is amazing. So, I mean, the more I love her, even more, whoa, Nadia.
Well, we talk about research, and I've done research. I didn't know about that. That is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Your hero.
Yeah, literally my hero. I still regard her as my hero and inspiration.
Nice. So you were what, 4? I mean the first time you saw.
Yes, I was 4 years old.
4.
Yeah, just glued my eyes to the TV.
So mom and daughter,
Yeah.
you were watching this, and
Yes.
you decided you wanted to be like Nadia then.
Yes.
At 4.
Yes. So, but at that point in time, also, I guess the reason why my mom got me to watch the movie was because I was already quite jumpy. Like I would see a lamppost, lamppost, I'm going to climb up on the lamppost and start, acting like a monkey.
Okay.
Or you know how our beds used to be those kind of spring beds, right? So I'll be like jumping up and down and trying to land onto the floor. I mean, there was one time I even wore a Superman costume. I was 4 years old, wore a Superman costume, the one with the cape at the back.
Yes.
And I decided that one day I'll wear it. I walked up the staircase, I turned around, my hands went up, bent my knees. Ta-da, I'm going to fly. Poof! And I landed flat on my face, of course. But actually, that was the start of why I ended up doing gymnastics, because for safety.
Right.
And my mom couldn't control me.
Okay. This is a question right now. So at that age, you wanted to take up gymnastics, right?
Yes.
And was it at that point? Was it just like, okay, let's have fun? I mean, at 4, nobody knows, right?
Nope.
But in terms of your mom, your parents, and what have you, did they say we're gonna go for it? Or at 4, while you started, and then they saw something in you, and they said, okay, well, she's good. What was it? Or even to you, right? It must have been just fun.
Yeah. At 4 years old, I attended a gymnastic club. So when it's a club, usually it's more fun, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you get to meet a lot of friends, and at the club it's quite international. You see a lot of kids from various countries, and the coaches were also from various countries.
Yeah.
One of them was Joe Layton from Canada. So he was really fun to be with, So he, instead of actually doing gymnastics skill right from the start,
Yeah.
he will get us to do fun warm-ups games so that we get, perked up and hustled,
Yeah, yeah.
So that was really fun. So I started gymnastics, having it as fun, even for my mom, I guess.
Yeah.
But even at that point in time, I wasn't just doing gymnastics. I was doing ballet,
Okay.
arts, taking.
You couldn't sit still.
No, and the thing is, it's not because my mom wanted me to do it. It was me who requested. Yeah, I was very lucky
Okay.
that my family had the means to provide all these enrichment classes for me. But of course, then got to a point where when I was close to 7 years old, I think one of the coaches actually said, "Hey, I think Eileen really has good potential in gymnastics."
When you were at what ages was this?
About 6,
6.
probably.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
so it was really fun at a point in time. Then until 6 years old, somebody actually told my mom, "Hey, I think she really has good potential. So, why don't she concentrate on gymnastics?" So I dropped violin. I mean, I did pick up violin and piano at that point in time. So I dropped everything except for gymnastics and ballet to concentrate on gymnastics.
Okay, this is a very good point here. So from 4 to probably about 6 for 2 years, had fun,
Yep.
and had a go at it, and then one of the coaches said that he saw probably the potential in
Yep.
you to make it bigger, in terms of gymnastics, right? So at which point did you then, because you competed at 7 in the SEA Games, at the SEA Games for
Yes,
Singapore, right?
yes.
So at which point did you start going on full on training for the SEA Games?
Probably about 6 years old already.
6 years old, right?
So what will happen is, what happened then, I would train at one place in the late afternoon. Then my mom would bring me to another place to train at night. So I'll be training twice a day.
Okay.
And Saturdays would be together with the national team. Then on Sundays, I will not be at the gymnasium, but I'll be in front of the TV. I'll be doing V-sits and sit-ups and push-ups. So like 100, each set will be like 100 times, and I'll do 10 sets.
This was on your own or prescribed to you by the coaches?
It will be on my own.
Right.
Yeah, so because during the training, the coaches would tell me to do all these, right?
Okay.
So I'll just replicate it at home. Right. Then my mom, amazingly, she actually found this wooden piece of wood at a construction site. She took it and wrapped it up in a nice plastic. I remember it was green in color. Actually, I think you can find it in a book.
Right.
Green in color, and she put it on our two sofas, and I'll start to train on it like a balance beam. So it was because of that beam that I managed to learn aerial cartwheels and back somersaults on the balance beam. And I was actually the first Singaporean to actually do a back somersault on a balance beam.
Wow.
Yeah, it was but at that point in time, of course, when you're so young, yeah, I did it, yay, so fun, yay. But when you think back about it, wow, in order to succeed, you need to put in a lot of time and effort.
I'm just trying to think, no, because this is a very, very good educational thingy as well for me, for parents as well, right? And my daughter is 6, by the way.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, so at your age there, where you actually went on to like maybe focus a little bit, and it's very difficult to understand that part at 6, right?
Yeah.
The mentality, and at 6 doing sit-ups and push-ups like almost every day, how many sets and whatever.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Now for anyone who's listening in and watching this as well, just think about it, right?
I've been actually thinking about this because the very fact that I'm now a music teacher and I'm used to coach as well, and some of my students are as young as 5 years old.
Yeah.
And then when I see them and look at myself, I think the difference is that now there are a lot of distractions.
True.
A lot of options.
True.
At that point, our time, I think the only distraction that we had was TV. There was no mobile phones, nothing. So I mean, if there's no TV, then you do something that you like, right? But nowadays kids has more distractions.
True.
Which in a way perhaps is good because that means you have more options.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of choice, but maybe become a bit of a late bloomer, but so it doesn't matter, right? Yeah, but
there are good and bad, pros and cons to distractions as well. Too many distractions, especially with the mobile phones, it's not too good.
Yeah.
I think so.
But having said that, although when you see the achievement that was made at 6 or 7 years old, it looks amazing, and the teachings behind it, how if you want to succeed, we put in the time, we put in the effort, we put in the focus. But of course, the downfall, there's always the yin and yang, right? I think the downfall is that when you're so young, you try to actually focus on one thing. I don't think that is also good. So we must always find the right balance.
It's a very, very good point. It's called specialization in a particular sport, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you go and look and read at research and journals, right, they are obviously, the experts say do not focus on one at a very young age.
Yes, that one I totally agree nowadays.
After looking back, right?
Yes,
but to be fair, you were doing different things at that age, but only because the coach said, And okay, you see, I'm just thinking out, and not even looking at things, and the sport itself, gymnastics, it's specialized. Nobody can do that, as in not anybody can do that. So has it got to do with the sport itself? Because I think for gymnastics, you look all around the world, they're getting young. They're starting young. Is that the reason why also that probably the coach would have said, I think she has potential to go full on in terms of that?
Yeah. Gymnastics, the nature of gymnastics, you do have to start young. But if you see, there's always two sides of a coin, right? If you see positively, gymnastics is amazing because it builds out on agility, it builds out on endurance. It's a good sport to learn, to build confidence, character, right? But the flip side, of course, once you get into the elite level, and if we are not careful, we spiral into this concept of, oh, it's so competitive. I need to win. I need to make sure I get this move so that I can beat that, that the other gymnast. So that is a little bit of a negative thing. But because gymnastics, you have to start young, because once you develop, once you reach teenage years, your body starts to change, and it's going to be very difficult. And then you start to grow taller. Yes. As a gymnast, it's not so easy to do if you are tall. But of course, if you are tall, you have long legs, it's you just have to find ways. I mean, there was one gymnast, I think, was it Russia? It's been such a long time, many years ago. Yeah. She has the longest limbs within the gymnastic community across the world. But she made it well for her. So her moves are all the ones that with a lot of swings, not too much rotations, but more of the twists. Right, so she made it work for her. So she found a solution to it. Yeah, so no choice for gymnastics. You have to start young. But then, how do we actually put our mindset to it? The positive or the negative?
Nice.
Yeah.
SEA Games at 7.
Oh.
The youngest ever athlete for Singapore, right? Until now, the record still stays?
Yeah, well, it's across SEA Games, not just Singapore. I've been keeping track who might be the youngest, so I'm
nobody
still the youngest.
Nobody has beaten that record. What was it like competing at that day? Can you even remember?
Yes.
That's the most important thing, right?
Yes, I can remember. Yeah. I remember everybody was just trying to get a picture of me. Because you being so young, and I had very cute little hair at that point in time, so everybody just wants to take a picture with you, and they want your signatures. I was like a star, like a child star going there. It was not just from the Singapore media, but it was the SEA Games was in Thailand, so there were the Thai media was also trying to get pictures and trying to get interviews. They also got me to their stations to do interviews, and that was quite fun. So definitely a lot of fun, and the competition didn't feel like a competition. We were just there to gain exposure. But in actual fact, I don't think this was actually ever talked about. We actually won the bronze. We actually won the bronze, but because of friendship between the countries, we let go of the bronze, and we allowed another country to so we got fourth.
This is the first time.
This is the first time actually talking about that.
Does anybody know about this? Or
well, those who were there at the point in time, 1985.
How is that possible? Okay, so what happened?
Technical issues. I think that's all I want to say.
It's a team or individual event.
It was the team bronze that we were supposed to win. Yeah, so for a team event is where everybody competes, right? And then the scores from all the 4 apparatus are accumulated, and then see who has higher score. So our score was actually just slightly off from the 3rd placing, so we were 4th. But because of a technical issue by another country, we managed to push up to the 3rd. So in a way, that was fair. But for friendship, we actually we went back down to the 4th place.
So it was decided by the Singapore team that we will
I was too young to know who decided it. But I'm sure there must have been a great discussion about it.
Nice.
To make that decision.
You try to be diplomatic here, but I understand.
It's been so long anyway, so let it go.
Right. Okay, something that we didn't know, I didn't know. So let's move on now. Okay, forget about the China part first, because we're going to talk about China in a little bit, right?
Sure.
Now, in terms of childhood, of fun and games, we talk about at this age, right? I'm talking about my 6-year-old, and you talk about 7-year-old when you were in the SEA Games. I was 85. I was in primary 2, probably trying to fight the queue in a canteen in school. That kind of thing.
Fish balls.
Exactly, right? So, we talk about all that. Did you in a way lose your childhood because of the training? I'm talking about the training, and this is, it could be a little bit sensitive, right? But thinking back, did you not do things that you were supposed to do? Perhaps, I don't know.
Definitely I didn't have a childhood. But whether I lost it is really up to you how you want to see it. So I don't think I lost my childhood, but I also know that I'm also very aware that I did not have a childhood.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Understand.
there's a difference. So To give you one example, I had just 2 years back, I met up with a friend who was my classmate.
Okay.
She's actually quite well known in the music scene. Her I think she's okay for me to share it. Her name is Ella May. I think Ella May Fernandez. I think a lot of people know her. She's a jazz singer. So she was my classmate. We were both in CHIG Toa Payoh.
Okay.
So she was saying, many times when we were both classmates, the classmates will actually ask one another, oh, hey, you want to go to McDonald's now? Oh, you want to come over to my place for birthdays? But somehow I was never invited because either I was not in school or I was always so busy, or my classmates already know that I would say, sorry, cannot. So they ended up not asking me. So the thing was, how I know about it was because I found her singing at one of the gigs, right? And then she came over and talked to me and my husband, and she said, Eileen is so amazing, but we never could actually ask her out. I was like, I'm so sad. I didn't really have much childhood.
I understand.
But if you look at it, I can't turn back that time, right? So
and I mean, even if you look back, we're talking about elite sports. Sacrifices has to be made. It has to be made. I spoke to Maywi on this episode, the swimmer. I spoke to Jocelyn Yeo as well.
I saw both.
And same in a way, same problems, right?
Same things that we need to go through. It's not a problem. It's a thing that we need to go through.
Issues.
We think positive.
Okay, let's talk about China, because this is very interesting. For those of you who are at home and listening to this or watching this is amazing. At 9, right? At 9 years old, you decided, maybe it could be a collective effort behind the thought process with your mom and family, right? That you decided to go to China. Because I think I read somewhere that you said that you were never ever gonna go further if you'd stayed here with the coaching and the environment and stuff like that, right? Tell me what was in your minds and your parents' minds and what have you at that point, right? At 9, I'm going to China all by myself.
At 9, why 9 years old? Because 7 years old I had fun, right, at SEA Games. But my dream was really to still be able to fly like Nadia Comaneci. But of course, when the SEA Games, the vibe bites into you, you also want to win something for Singapore. So at 9 years old, when I competed in my second SEA Games, I realized, whoa, if I really want to fulfill my dream, I really have to up my game. Having said that, the coaches in Singapore at that point in time, but that was back in the 1980s. So the coaches were definitely passionate. I mean, you're passionate about coaching, you're teaching. I'm passionate about my music teaching as well. So we are all passionate. That's why we are into coaching and teaching, right? Education. But the coaches at that point in time didn't have the expertise to be able to bring up my skills level. So that's why I had to go elsewhere. So why China? China because, first of all, at that point in time, China was like the powerhouse for gymnastics. So it was like, well, go China. Second thing was my dad had a lot of business dealings in China. So it was easy to make the connections and go in. And in any case, he could actually, get his friends to come and help me when I'm in China. So third thing is much cheaper.
And language as well, right?
Language as well. But because of China training, my Mandarin at that point in time was so good. I was actually the card reporter for the Chinese newspaper at that point in time. And my compositions in school, it was already like taught, and my teachers were always say, come, please show your friends.
You're talking about school here or there?
In Singapore.
In Singapore, okay.
So my Mandarin improved so much. But so because of these reasons, that's why I thought it'd be best to go China. And well, at 9 years old, you just want to be the best.
Was there any apprehension? Because going out there alone.
No,
none at all.
There's no apprehension. There's only apprehension when you start to worry. When you worry is because you have seen somebody talking about it before, but because at that point there's no internet, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
you do not know what exactly is
Okay.
the situation over there. You just know what you need to do and you go.
Okay.
Right? So of course there's no worries, you just do it, right?
Yeah.
But of course once I got there, whoa, wow, the training was hard.
What was the let's start out with the accommodation, right? So you went into a club. What was it like? What is it?
It's you mean in China?
Yeah, in China.
Not a club. It was actually so in China. How I'm not sure about now, but back then, they go by province, they
Okay.
go by state, then they go to the one in Beijing, right? So there are few levels. So I was in like one of the middle level schools.
Okay.
Where it's like really a sports school, like Singapore sports school.
Yeah.
So I was sent there. When you are there, training was quite intense. When I say intense, it's like almost 3 times a day of training.
A typical day routine in the morning.
For example, we wake up 5:30 a.m. Quickly, get yourself ready, and then we'll cycle because we were all within like think of sports hub.
Yeah.
So we were in a compound like sports hub.
Nice. It's like a village, a games village. Kind of thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
So our hostel is actually underneath the stadium.
Okay.
So we were living underneath the stadium. So we'll get out of the stadium and then we go to the practice track
Right.
to do our morning exercises. So our morning exercises would be 400-meter sprints, like literally sprints. If you do not sprint well enough, like fast enough, the coach will ask you to do it again
How
and
many
again
times?
and again. Usually it's 1 if it's good. If not, it can go up to 6 times.
Okay.
Yeah, it's no joke, and especially when it's winter and it's cold, and then you have it's not easy with the cold wind on your face.
Right.
But you just do it. Then after that, it's not the end of it. After that, we have to cycle to the gymnasium to do our conditioning exercises, stretching exercise, conditioning exercises. Our conditioning exercises could be like back somersaults, 10 at one go.
Okay.
Do 10 sets.
Okay.
It could also be 1 minute handstands, hold for 10 times.
Okay.
Yeah, so if any point in time we fall within the 1 minute, let's say we were doing it until the 5th set, we have to usually go back to the first set.
Wow.
Yeah, as punishment. So it was really tough, and some of the gymnasts actually didn't have it as well as me because in a way I'm still a foreigner there. They don't really dare to touch me.
Okay.
But it can be so tough for them that sometimes their hair gets pulled, they are thrown onto the floor.
By the coaches.
Yeah, by the coaches. So, but I mean, the coaches didn't know better, right? So,
Were you the only so-called foreigner there, or?
yes, I was the only foreigner.
Right.
Yeah, then after that, we will go for our breakfast. Then we will go for our morning training at 9 a.m. That will go on until 12. Then from there, we have 12 p.m. will be the end of our morning session training. Then after that, we will go for our lunch. Then we have our 40 wings. In China, they have the 40 wings. Then after that, at 2:30, we start to train again until 6 p.m.
Okay.
That's our daily.
Okay.
Yeah. Saturday, we don't have the morning training. We just have the afternoon training.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, just looking back, right?
Yep.
Especially training methods. I would like to talk about that because we are all coaches now, right? You're the teacher and coach and what have you. Is this, I don't know what's being done now. Is it a norm then? Like and listen, we've watched videos on YouTube. It's so easy to get videos, and we've seen them at a very young age.
Yeah.
And it's really the table tennis ones as well. They keep on doing the same thing. It's routine. It's fine. That's how you get better, right?
Yeah. But the thing is, when you are in that environment, you are like in a tunnel vision. You just soak it up, and because it's good for you. At least that was back in the 1980s, early 1990s. So there was no internet to know, or there was no psychologist to tell us actually this form of training is not as good. But we were at that point in time like in a bubble. We just know that if we do it this way, it's because the reason is because the coaches have produced champions before through this method.
Yes.
So the only method that they know is this way,
Yes.
like being very.
You talk about the old school, basically.
Yeah,
right?
old school ways. Yeah, that's a good word. So old school ways. So they didn't know what was the other way. But the problem with the old school way is that at that point in time when you're a child, it works because when you're a child, you put in fear in them.
And you follow.
And you follow. So you just keep doing repetitions. And of course, once with repetitions, you're going to get good results.
Yeah.
But the problem comes is when you grow older,
Yeah.
and there's a possibility that we, from our kids, we will develop mental health condition in future. So that was something that was never really talked about. Well, nobody knew, right, at that point in time. Yeah.
Just from your knowledge, has it changed? I'm talking about the training methods. I don't know. Have you
Actually, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm sure there must have been some changes.
Right.
I'm sure because nowadays with medical and psychology, I mean, even China is now, if you look from the broad sense of it, China is even trying to clamp down on tuition, right?
Oh, okay.
Right. So in a way, two sides of a coin again, right?
Yes.
If you look at the positive side, in a way it's good because then at least the students are not so stressed. So I think if you see it from that point of view, I think there are changes within the sports industry already. I think the coaches already know better that the old school method of coaching may not be as good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And I think just looking back as well, and you brought a very good point, because I think the effects could be long term in terms of the psychological effect. We'll talk about that later on, right? In terms of your lifestyle there, what was it? I mean, I read that you were alone, and I don't know, the word is aloof, but you were alone, right?
Yeah, I saw that word.
Now, was that just looking back, because now you can look back, right?
Yeah.
Was that the start of the problems?
Yes, it is, unfortunately. So, mental health condition is developed through various ways, and now mine is very complicated. But for the sake of the sharing, let me just simplify a little.
Yeah,
so,
sure,
the
sure.
very fact that a person may have a mental health condition is usually, not always, usually stems from childhood.
Okay.
So, when my ACE score, ACE is adverse childhood experiences, is 5. I think the maximum is 10. So the higher it is, the higher the number, the more likely that you're going to develop a mental health condition in future.
So when was this done?
I only did ACE like 1 year ago.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know about this ACE score until my psychiatrist told me about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's like you gotta do out a written.
Yeah, so it's only 10 questions.
Oh.
Like 10 questions. So the 10 questions is based on whether when you were a child you were abused either physically or verbally, whether there was love, whether there was a sense of security. So when I was training in China, remember, I just want to specify that it was a choice that I made to go there. So nobody forced me. I mean, even my mom, my parents actually said, if you don't want to do it anymore, please just say stop. But I didn't, right?
Okay.
So it was my choice. So as a child, when you do not have a sense of security, that means no physical hugs, you don't feel the sense of love, there's no adult to talk to discuss with you why was the child hair being pulled, nobody to actually talk sense into what was happening, the explanation. So there was and there was no communications as well, because 1 week I could go without a day talking.
Wow.
So I lacked communication skills. My communication skills was underdeveloped. My social skills obviously was underdeveloped. When you don't talk, you don't socialize, right?
Yeah.
So all these things were underdeveloped. So when you become an adult through the years, these things will stay with you.
Yeah.
And when you don't rectify it, then you develop the mental health condition.
Now, just looking back, right? You won a gold medal as a 10-year-old, in an overseas competition when you were in China, and of course a bronze medal at the SEA Games, right, at 13. And by the way, you had an injury like 1 month before that. You broke something, you fractured something.
Yeah, I fractured my elbow. What happened was I was on the uneven bars. I was supposed to do a release move, meaning that you let go of your hand, then you do a somersault, and then you catch back. But I did not manage to catch back. So instead of catching, I poof, and I landed on the floor, on the mat.
Yeah.
But my 2 hands were in front of me, so I fractured my right elbow. Yeah, so that was how I got injured.
How did you manage to then compete again, like 1 month after that, and then get a bronze medal? It's amazing.
I don't know. I think mind over matter.
Wow.
I really have to just block out. Because of China training, in a way, I learned how to block out a lot of pain, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety.
Okay.
So you just focus on what you need to do and just block out all these things. Or sometimes what I did was, let's say I have an ankle injury.
Okay.
So an ankle injury can be very painful, right?
Yeah.
Just by walking. So instead of feeling the pain of the ankle injury, I will actually use a bandage to bandage my ankle so tightly that I feel the pain of the bandage rather than
Instead
the
of
pain
the-
of the injury. So at least I know, okay, it's just the pain of the bandage. It's not the ankle. It's fine.
Right. I think that this a lot of sports people do this as well.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
when they have a injury, and I have to say this from playing football and all,
Yeah.
professionally here as well. You are never 100% right every day.
Yeah,
Never.
you're
ever.
right, you're right.
Physically, you are never. Mentally, maybe, yeah. But physically, you are never ever. Maybe a slight knock here, a slight pull there. But you just then just go out there and just do it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Unless it's really, you damage your knee or something like that, right? So it's a really a sports people trait that we have that
to block out, right?
Yes.
Find ways to
Right,
actually
right.
do it.
Now I want your frank opinion, right?
Sure.
About the success and failure of your training stint in gymnastics. Is there any? I'm talking about. I don't know, because you wanted gold medals
Yeah.
in terms of gymnastics, obviously, right? That's
Yeah.
why you went over there. Is there a sense of disappointment? I don't know whether in terms of success and failures. And you also said this, right? I dug this up, right?
You are a very good researcher.
After millions and hours of practice, it did not reap the rewards that you sought after, or I sought after. That's what you said, right? Quote unquote. What was your feeling, or is your feeling about that?
Of course, there will be disappointments. Who wouldn't, right? After all the years of training, yeah, definitely there will be disappointments. But we can't always just fall back on a disappointment and just brood over it. So we have to find ways to actually get out of that bubble. So I just remembered, I just always have to remind myself that I had so much of injuries as an athlete is unavoidable, right? I was feeling so lonely. I was already quite burnt out from training. So having to endure all these and still be able to get a bronze medal, I think that is already quite amazing for me. And my husband always tell me, yeah, although you didn't reach the highest on the mountain, but it's okay. You at least reached, the middle part, and you can still see quite a good eye, bird's eye view of things. So yeah, good.
A good way to put it, right?
Yeah,
nice way to see it
exactly,
as well.
yeah.
So is that why you changed sports? Let's talk about the other sport. That you went to. Is that like after a while you think, oh, it's burnout, injuries and mental, you just the mental stress itself, right? Was that why you changed sports into track?
Track and field, I was already doing track and field when I
yeah.
was actually in primary school. So
Correct.
I was actually doing concurrently. It's just that I don't really train with the team.
Yeah.
So when there's a competition, they will ask me to do hurdles and relay. So I was actually already winning medals for hurdles in primary school. So it was when I won the bronze medal for gymnastics. I was 13 years old. So I was already secondary 1 in IGS. And when I got to secondary 2, so it was either to continue with gymnastics or not do sports or change sports.
Okay.
Right? Right after the SEA Games, when I was 13 years old, I did go over to Australia, Australian Institute of Sports, AIS, to actually check out the place. I was actually supposed to stay in Australia already. There was already agreement that I will be training there.
Okay.
That I won't be coming back to Singapore. But when I went there, I realized I was so burnt out. I was physically, mentally just drained, and I just wanted to go home to just be able to sleep on my bed and not in a hostel or hotels or whatever. I just felt so tired. So in a way, because of being burnt out, that's why I changed sports. I couldn't take it anymore. It's not because of the disappointment. It's because I was really tired.
Yeah.
And I was always feeling so lonely. So I thought, okay, when I got to secondary 2, since I've already done track and field before, and track and field there is relays, and people get together. So it's like, whoa, I think I will have friends.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons why I decided to change sport to track and field, because I wanted some friends.
and you talk about sports, and obviously you took up diving as well, right? And at 15 you broke the age group hurdles record, right?
Yes.
And then of course you won a gold at the Asian Pacific Diving Championship.
Yes.
Is it as in diving, right?
Yeah, diving.
As in diving from and diving as in terms of what, the springboard or
Springboard.
springboard,
Yeah.
right?
I was specializing in springboard rather than a platform.
I just want to ask you, right, what is your secret to the effortless transition between
Yeah, effortless.
It is effortless. Listen, nobody does this. As in-
there is may we did
Oh,
a
yes.
transition as well
but
to
I'm
martial
talking
arts.
about in terms of winning medals and always there and thereabouts in terms of the national setup, right?
Yeah.
What is your
I did because sometimes I do get invited to do talks in schools.
Yeah.
So sometimes I need to think through what are the things that I want to discuss the content.
Yeah.
So there was one content that I really wanted to talk about was about this actually. How do you actually what tools do you need to apply on yourself so
Nice.
that you can change discipline from one thing to another. So I actually talked to my husband about it. So we talked at length. What we discovered was first of all, talent, yes, you must have some form of talent, but you don't need to have the full potential of it. You just need to have a little bit. So let's say, for example, if music, right? Violin is really not an easy instrument, but
Tell
as
me
long,
about it.
but
No.
This is challenge accepted.
No.
Come, I teach you.
No.
Okay, but so as long as you can just sing a little bit of tune, I think that's already a good start. So that form of talent, just a little bit is good enough. So some form of talent. Second thing is, if you have the passion for it.
Okay.
So my passion was not just in the various different sports. It was sports in general. I love sports.
Yeah.
So when you love sports, you have the passion for it. There's more likelihood that you will have the drive to motivation to go and put in the effort. So it's the passion.
Okay.
Then third thing is finding ways to drive that passion.
Okay.
So that is to put in the time and put in the effort. So, but sometimes, like if you don't have enough time, let's say you're a student, you don't have enough time to actually do it, then you have to prioritize already. You have to drop maybe one of your enrichment programs and then concentrate on the sport that you want.
Tell that to the parents. Drop an enrichment class.
Yeah, I know. To tell the truth, I had one student before, and the child was actually going to primary 1 the following year, and then I said, "Wow, aren't you excited that your kid is going to primary 1?" And she said, "No, it's the start of stress. Start of enrichment classes. Start of all this FOMO." Fear of missing out and all that. So yeah, I can totally understand the stress. But I guess it's really a mindset, right? I'm not a parent, but I've seen so many of my students' parents going through that. But I also seen how there are one or two parents who really make the decision, okay, they're going to have less enrichment classes, and they make the change, and they allow them to actually have fun in whatever that they are doing. It's not easy, I must say, but I can see how the students are so happy. Yeah, so I feel for the parents though. I feel for a lot of people. Yeah.
Parents, yes, but you got to feel for the kids as well. And
yes,
I just learned something today.
Yeah.
FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah, FOMO, fear of missing
Fear
out.
of missing out, right?
I think that shouldn't be the case. It's not, but it's easy for me to say because I'm not a parent. But I'm sure if one day I'm a parent, I'm a poor parent.
Yeah, you have that as a parent, and I'm thinking because I'm a parent now. Right? You do have that a little bit fear of missing out on, I don't know, could be going into the best schools or this and that. But
it's not easy.
I always think that everyone is different in a way.
Correct.
And you just have to go at your own pace.
Yeah.
There is a place for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, Einstein even said you can't teach a fish to climb the tree, or is it the other way? But I mean, something like this, right? So you just find your own talent, you find your own space.
True.
As I've said, it's easy for me to say because I'm not a parent, but
it doesn't matter because you've gone through a lot as well, and you know.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy though.
You quit sports in 1995. In a way. In a way, because
I need to calculate now. 1995, yes.
1995, and then because I have to say you quit in a way because then after that, right, you came back and did something. Okay, never mind. We talk about that later. You quit sports in 1995, right? After all that injury and there's one part, criticism from the media. This is the part that I picked up. And one in
Yeah, you're
particular,
really good at researching, you know.
I know, I'm like a detective, right?
Wow, I'm amazed.
And you even said that one in particular.
Oh well,
Was it one?
it was two.
Oh,
It was
two,
one
okay.
after another.
You mind sharing us? No, you don't have to tell who wrote the story and whatever.
I won't.
Yeah, but in terms of what was said about you, I think
The thing is, I cannot really remember the details, but the gist of it,
Yeah.
in actual fact, that incident really did affect me mentally quite a bit. So what incident was this? So immediately after my 95 SEA Games,
Okay.
my 95 SEA Games was actually quite terrible
Okay.
in terms of my medal standing. Well, my position standing is not even, I wasn't even in medal contention because I got last.
Okay.
I came in last. And I came in last, but I was still okay with myself because I was competing without a coach. I was competing with an injury.
Okay.
An injury where my shoulder will pop out any point in time.
Okay.
And because I didn't have a coach, so and a diver from another country, a Thai diver actually, I actually asked her for help. Can you please help me to bandage my shoulder, because I can't do it on my own. I need two hands to actually bandage. So because of that, I realized at least I managed to. I did not give up. I did not quit. I finished the competition. But what happened after that was, although I was trying to psycho myself that everything is okay, I completed it. But of course, at the other point of view was, I felt very lonely. There's a lot of pain inside as well, because after I was in China for 1 year to train for that SEA Games, so everything was just washed away like that. So there was really a lot of pain, and also prior to that day, which I actually wrote in my book, but I never really actually say it in a podcast or interview, was that one of the coaches, one coach actually started scolding me in the canteen. So it's already written in the book, so it's actually in a way out in the public. So I was actually mentally unstable already. So that really got me, but I really just kept my focus and completed the games. So because of all these things, there was so much inside me, right, waiting to share and burst out. Suddenly there was this reporter who came over to me immediately after after I got out of the pool. So I was like, oh, and she was asking me with this tone, how are you? Are you okay? So I was like, oh, at least one human willing to talk to me. So I was really feeling very lonely already. Having a bit of tears. Anyway, so I started talking to her, and then but of course, when you are 15 years old, you haven't been taught how to deal with media. And I was feeling very vulnerable, very emotional. And then there was no any other adult to talk to except for the reporter. So I just burst out everything, like how I was very lonely, how my coach was not around, and all that. So of course it doesn't look well on me, right? Nobody knows exactly what happened before that. So the next day, out in the newspapers, coach says this, me says this, and I was labelled as a very poor sportsman.
The coach says this.
Yes,
as in the coach.
Yeah, the coach.
But where was the coach anyway?
I really have no idea. But I mean, after going through all these years, I don't blame the coach as well. I'm sure he has his reasons as well. And bygones is okay. And then the next day, another newspaper said, I shouldn't have said such things, we must always respect coaches, and I was being a poor sportsman. Yeah, but having said all this, I really put all these behind. I mean, even with the two reporters, few years after that, I even had beers with them, like in the pub. So
the same reporters?
Yeah. So it's all bygones. I mean, they were just doing their job. I mean, as a reporter, you have to actually tell people what people need to know, right? So they have their jobs, they have their duty. So I don't blame them for whatever that they have written. You just move on, right?
Listen, this is a very interesting topic. We can talk about this in a different podcast as well, a different episode as well. No, seriously, media relations and stuff like that. And also, after what happened recently with Joe and our Singapore athletes, right? It's so crazy out there, and people do not know exactly what went behind the scenes and stuff like that, and
correct.
people start talking.
Having said this, I'm getting goosebumps again.
I understand that, right? It's really ridiculous as well.
Yeah.
And you know, you talk about coaches, and the coach was not even there. As in, you said it yourself, right? You competed without a coach, and that in alone, competing for your nation in a competition is a crime. To me, my opinion. No worries. Okay, you don't have to say that, but it's my opinion, right?
But in a way, that's why even for my students now, I will never give up on them unless they give up on me. So I'll just see them through the end.
True.
Yeah.
Now, again, sorry, just
No
before
problem.
we talk about the next part, right?
Yes.
This is the book, by the way, right? You wrote this in 2014.
Yes.
It's called Teach a Life
for life. Yeah.
Thank you
I
so
wrote
much.
it myself.
Oh, I know.
Not a ghostwriter, but it was edited by Ivan Lim.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Ivan Lim. Yeah.
Nice. I like this. Thank you so much for
No
this
problem.
to me.
Yeah, one of the last few books that I have.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
I think less than 5. I only have less than 5 now.
Now, let's go into this uncomfortable topic, right? And thank you again. At any one point you want to stop, go ahead, because I think it's uncomfortable, for anyone to speak about it, right? And for coming from you as well, having gone through it, it's thank you for sharing this.
No problem. Thanks for the cappuccino too.
You're welcome. Now, recently we had stars like Naomi Osaka, Simone Biles, and just recently, just a few days, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I on Facebook, there was this Indian wrestler called Vinesh Phogat coming out with their problems.
Yeah.
And this
Mental
was at the
health.
Olympics. Yeah, mental health. Now, you were officially diagnosed with social performance anxiety, right?
Yeah,
now,
and PTSD actually later
Yeah.
on.
Firstly, what is that condition? And what are the symptoms? And obviously, at that time, you didn't know, right?
Nope.
So when you were diagnosed and obviously people start talking to you, the doctors, what is that exactly?
Social performing anxiety, if you break up the words, anxiety means you're anxious about something. So what was I anxious about? I was anxious about meeting people.
Okay.
In social events.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's because I had my social skills were underdeveloped because of my training in when I was overseas as a child. Performing means like when I have to perform like as a athlete, competition. When I have to perform as a violinist.
Right.
Yeah, so when you put all these together, it's social performing anxiety. So exactly what goes through my mind at that point in time is maybe the easiest way to explain is to give scenarios, the things that I've actually went through. For example, I were to attend this Singapore Kindness Movement event. It was just a social gathering event. But when I went into the room filled with people, I couldn't see them anymore. Let's say I see you.
Okay.
You're wearing black. I see you in black lines. Yeah, my brain will just go.
You can't see faces.
I can't see. I get so nervous. I get so anxious that my brain will just playing tricks. Yeah, so that is one example.
Okay.
The other example is there was a time. That was during the time when I was experiencing all these. So. I already promised my friend that I will attend his performance at a pub. Yeah. So he was going to play his jazz and blues. So I said, okay, I will come. But I was also nervous because my husband at that point in time was not in Singapore. He was traveling. So that means there was nobody to accompany me. I could also ask other friends, but social anxiety, so I was still afraid. So I will actually try to set myself up. Okay, no problem. I if anything goes wrong, I can just always take a Grab or taxi, comfort taxi, and just go, right?
Yeah.
And I already planned properly that when I go to that place, I will just find a spot in the corner. I'm not going to talk to anyone. I'm not going to make eye contact. They're aloof. I'm not going to make eye contact. I just sit there. So that was already my plan, right? And I won't even take public transport. I'll just take a cab there, right? So that was planned out. Then when I was just about to get out of the door, my legs just went like noodles, and my heart went poof, poof, poof. I was just panicking. I went into a panic attack, and I was just crying at the door. I just couldn't get out.
How long was this going on before you were diagnosed?
The thing was, prior to 2015.
Okay.
In a way, I already had these experiences, but I always try to block it out.
Okay.
So I will always try to focus and, for example, if I actually have to go for a performance and I have to play, there was one time I had to play for the president. So I was feeling very anxious about it, but I will try to block out. I will visualize using sports visualization and make sure, okay, this is what I'll do, how I warm up, how I must go to the sound booth and say hi to the sound engineer first, and then I set up, I go out on stage, what do I rehearse, what do I do for sound checking, all these things, right? Go through, and so that I know everything will be okay. So and then that's how I try to block out all my fears. But then come 2015, I had an interview by MediaCorp, Channel 8. This producer who interviewed me, we became good friends, by the way, at the end of the day. But he, wow, he actually asked very good questions, I must say. He asked a lot about my childhood because it was about the interview was about my relationship with my mom. So obviously I have to talk a lot about my childhood, right? Deep down. So because of that, a lot of my traumatic memories and flashbacks came back. So suddenly, like Pandora's box opened, and I couldn't use the method of blocking out anymore. It just came out, and I suddenly felt very vulnerable. Because of that, so I couldn't block out anything anymore. I just became panicky, and this thing just came out, and I really went into depression. And of course, my husband did realize something was not right, so he actually encouraged me to see a psychologist. So we actually did do virtual psychologist. We did do virtual psychology sessions with another counselor. He was from Malaysia. He's very good, but because at that point in time I still couldn't understand why I should be seeing a psychologist, I was not ready to accept that I have a problem. So I didn't go on with it. But of course then after that I actually slammed my hands into a kitchen knife because I had an argument with my husband.
You slammed your hand on into
a kitchen knife
because you were angry, or because
it was a mix. Mine is so complicated. It was a mix of anger, mix of confusion, mix of what I said, how I see you in black lines, anxiousness. It just lumps together. And at that point in time, my head was always hurting because they were like feeling like they were in tight knots. My blood just it was like a crime scene. So that was quite scary, and that was really almost the last straw. But the last straw really came when
there was a last straw. That wasn't the last straw. Wow.
Because at that point in time I still couldn't really accept that I needed to seek help, because the brain, how can you actually, like, if it's computer you can just change the CPU, fix. But when it's talking about brain, how can you just swap a brain? I cannot swap your brain with mine. We just can't do that. So how can you actually change the brain? So I couldn't accept the fact that. So the last straw really was in 2016, 1st February. I can still remember the date, when I decided to want to walk off the end of this earth. But I was very lucky that my husband actually found me. So at least I'm here to talk to you.
We're very, very thankful as well. Now, there's something scary about this. The scariest part about all this is that when one gets it, and there's many spectrum or whatever, right? You call it in terms of the disorders and mental disorders. They don't know it.
No.
And that is the scariest part of all. Because if you don't know it, then how do you know that you need to seek help? How do you know that, and even you said it, right? You talked about the interview first, right? Where you broke down. That could maybe spell trouble. That could have been the last straw, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the knife incident, that is like, is something crying out for help, maybe. And then again there was another last straw. So you don't. The scary part is you don't know whether should I seek help because I don't know whether I have a problem or not. That kind of thing. So I think the most important part is people around you, right? Is that one of the most important things as well? Because if you don't know, then somebody needs to tell you.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I was already doing things like hurting myself, like banging my head against the wall, so that I can get rid of the pain in my head. But I didn't know that was not the right thing to do. How will you know, right? And of course, you don't go around telling people that you bang your head against the wall. So no adults would have known as well.
Yeah.
Then when I got a little bit older, I already with my ex-boyfriends, I was really like trying to jump off a building.
Wow.
But luckily he managed to pull me back.
Okay.
But even for him, he didn't realize that I needed to seek help.
How important is it to discover this very earlier on? Because things would have been different.
Yeah, of course, things would have been different,
so
but
how
better
important?
late than never.
Yeah.
Okay, but first of all, how do we even know whether we need to seek help? Is of course, I've gone through a few interviews, so I've been thinking through about this as well.
Yeah.
The best way is once, if it's only yourself, once you realize that you're starting to self-harm, right, and you start to be very negative about things like even if, let's say, why must you put your microphone in front of you? Like, very negative.
Okay.
Why can't you just put it there?
Okay.
I mean, even this is actually a mental health condition already,
It's
because
an OCD thing kind of.
yeah. So in a way, yes. So I mean, OCD may not be very detrimental, but of course there's the light ones and the heavier ones, right? But still, if you seek help, you will get a better lifestyle. So once if from the perspective of a friend, once you see that this person is actually harming him or herself, or actually harming the people around them, like when I say harming, it's not like physical harm. It's even a like verbal thing, like what I just said.
True.
I can actually just tell you, why wear black? Black is not good. Ornaments, things like this. These are already some signs of it. It may not be very high level mental health condition, but still, if you can actually seek help just for this, you can make your lifestyle even better. You can make everybody even happier around you, because even when I say something negative to somebody, that person will already feel the negativity, and it's always not nice, because once a negative word or hurtful word is said to somebody, it takes, my psychiatrist always tells me this, it takes at least 5 more positive tries to mend that relationship.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's no joke. Imagine having to put that 5 times effort. Might as well don't say it first in the first place, right? But in order not to say it, we have to actually change our mindset. Like go for cognitive behavioral therapy. That was what I went through.
Okay.
Or go for mindfulness exercises. Or all these things that will actually help us, de-stress a little bit, feel better, and change our mindset. How to see things more positive. Well, you love to wear black, so it is. Right? We love to wear different brands, so it is. It doesn't matter. Right? Yeah.
Thank you. By the way, black is my color.
All right. Nice.
You spoke about your treatment just now. Just a little bit about that. What treatment was that again?
Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. So it's a therapy, of course. Cognitive means brain. Behavior is how we actually behave. So how we behave always comes from our brain, right? So we change our mindset.
Okay.
So what I did was I would write diaries. So every day I would write the things that I've actually done, and then how I make changes to make myself a better person. So for example, let's say, because there was a point in time, the period in time when I would always argue with my husband. I was so bad. I would just argue with him with anything, like why he put his handphone there, why can't he just put it there? Little things like this, I would actually just voice it out. I'll give him no peace, right? So cognitive behavioral therapy, I will actually write about what I was thinking, like I should stop myself from saying such things. What I should say is, if I really want to say, right, why do you want to put your phone here? Perhaps you want to put it here so that I won't spill my water on your phone. Say things like this. Or
say it in a nice way.
Say it in a nice way, or don't even say that. Just it's okay. Just leave it there lah. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so how we actually change our thoughts to improve in our behavior.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Eileen, thank you for sharing this part about your life story, and I think it will be very, very useful for people who are listening and watching this as well, because I think this is something that needs to be talked about as well. With so many things coming out in the news nowadays. We talk about the reason the secondary school or the primary school deaths and stuff like that. It's something that we need to talk about. So thank you so much, and we are all glad that you are here and you are healthy.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Let's go on and talk about
Yep.
happier stuff.
Yes.
Your love affair with music and the violin.
Yes.
Now you played violin obviously when you were a young kid as well. You know,
Yeah,
I
when
think-
I was 4.
Yeah, and you spoke to me off air as well. You said that you were probably a prodigy then in terms of the playing violin, and you could pick up.
Yeah, very fast.
Yeah, very fast.
Yeah.
But then you took it seriously only later.
Yeah, because
How did that happen?
well, because when I picked up violin, it was also the time when I picked up gymnastics.
Okay.
So
One has got to give.
yeah, exactly. So you prioritize, right? So I have to give up violin. Yeah, I remember when I gave up violin, my violin teacher was so sad. Like I could still remember, and she asked me to play this music called Star of the County or something like this.
Okay.
And it was so emotional. But anyway, so yeah, so then because of gymnastics, so I stopped violin. Then I picked it up again when I entered university.
Okay.
Oh, how did I pick it up again? Because after I finished diving with all the media hoo-ha, I really just wanted to keep to myself. I didn't want to have anything to do with sports anymore.
Okay.
It was quite, it was painful. I just didn't want to have the memories of sports anymore. So when I entered junior college, Nanyang Junior College,
Okay.
I didn't know what to do. I was just playing around. I'll go for team sports like badminton. Well, at least there's a rally, right? Badminton. I would join. I joined the choir as well. So we actually did quite a number of performances. That was fun.
You sing as well?
Yeah, I mean everybody can sing, right? But
Are you sure?
how well we
Are
can
you
sing?
sure?
how well we can
Okay,
sing, yeah.
okay.
But I never really found something that could fill the loneliness
Okay.
in my heart because I was still trying to find friends as well. But because of my social anxiety, at a point in time, I already had social anxiety. I actually didn't realize it because I was actually named the captain of my house, but I was never there for meetings. I never dared to go. And of course, I think my friends were not very happy with me, but I just couldn't do it, right? Then, so I was still pretty lost, and I still was trying to find something that could fill the void in me. When I got to university, I somehow ventured to the Center for the Arts, and I heard this entire room of people playing music and orchestra. So I was like, oh, violin, whoa, violin. That sounds good.
Okay.
I've played it before. Why not? I give it a try again. So, so I approached the conductor. His name was Mr. Lim Soon Lee. He's conductor of NUS Symphony Orchestra and other orchestras as well. So then so he taught me, and I told myself, okay, I want to have friends. I want to join this orchestra. So I really locked myself in the room 6 hours a day to play violin. But I wasn't just playing violin, I was also playing viola and piano, and I had to do music theory as well. Because in order to get a grade 8 in practical instrument, you need to have grade 5 theory. So I really practiced hard, and then within a year I got my grade 8
Within a year?
Yeah, within
6 hours every day?
Every day at least. Yeah. So I got into the orchestra, and I was very happy. Friends, I get to play music. So playing the violin was my lifeline.
And in a way, you never look back since, right? In terms of obviously you did you did your hurdles as well.
After that,
in between of somewhere, I don't know which year. I'm lost by the way, right? But yeah, I think music has definitely helped you in a way.
Yes,
And you're a music teacher now.
Yes.
So you just teach the violin or?
Violin, viola. Yeah,
okay.
I used to teach the music theory as well, but
So you do this privately, or do you go to, or do you have you teach in a school, or do you go out to teach? How does this happen?
I started out teaching in a school.
Okay.
Then slowly I started to teach at people's places.
Okay.
Then the past few years has been at my place.
Yeah, it's private. Nice. And
Yes.
you have performed like almost everywhere, basically, right?
Yeah, almost everywhere.
Almost everywhere.
I do try to keep track.
Tell us about your favorite performances so far. Just a few, and I think there's one, including one with Tayo, Erwin,
Hendrix.
Hendrix.
Yeah, so
Who's that person,
Teo-
by the way? Can you tell us?
Yeah, so Teo is the daughter of Jimi Hendrix. So I was actually in awe because one day I if I remember correctly, she contacted me through Facebook.
Okay.
And she went, hey, I've just written a kids book and we want to start promoting it and we want to do it in Singapore. So can you see how we can collaborate and help one another out?
Okay.
So she came over from the States.
Wow.
Yeah, and we performed together and then she promoted a book and then my students got to perform with her as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was really a memorable performance.
Was what did she do? As in, what did she sing?
She sings.
Okay.
She sings and plays the percussion.
Right.
Yeah. So
Wonderful.
amazing singer.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, and she's so humble. I mean, with that, I mean, legend. You know.
Yes.
And I mean, of course, people always say, yeah, she's the daughter, but she herself had made it good as well. I mean, she's doing a lot of social causes through music as well.
Nice.
She's making a lot of impact in other people's lives back in the States and many countries too.
Social causes, right?
Yeah.
How are you using music and the violin and the instruments that you play in helping children and their mental well-being?
So I have a motto. My
Okay.
motto is to give through music. So how I do it is through social causes. I have two social causes.
Okay.
Initially, it started with Teach Your Life for Life. So Teach Your Life for Life was supposed to be to share life lessons learned through music. But along the way, because of my childhood and then my depression, I started to think through how I should actually make things better to give through music. So after that, I started Strings for Kindness.
Okay.
Strings for Kindness is where kids come together to play music to spread kindness and graciousness to the community,
Okay.
community through music.
Okay.
So they don't play like kindness music. Is the actions when they are performing. Like if somebody forgets to bring a music stand, never mind, we share.
Okay.
You know, the actions.
Yeah.
During rehearsal, if somebody drops a pencil, you don't say why you drop your pencil. You help one another. You pick up for one another, or lend it.
Nice.
So it's through the actions to show kindness. So that's for Strings for Kindness. For students, kids ensemble. And we are actually part of Ground Up Movement or Singapore Kindness Movement as well as MVPC.
Okay.
Then I also started, together with my husband, a mental health project called 3am Music Collective. So 3am Music Collective is where we use music to give hope and show empathy to people with troubled minds.
Nice.
So for example, we have collaborated with 27 artists to come up with 10 songs. The 27 artists come from different ethnicities, different age groups, and we came up with 10 songs that are of different genres. So can be classical, can be hard rock, metal, can be pop, it can be electro pop as well. So we come up with these music to give hope and show empathy to people with trouble. So for example, if somebody were to hear our music at 3 a.m., why 3 a.m.? Because 3 a.m. is a time when based on studies that has been done, 3 a.m. is a time when we start to have a lot of negative thoughts. So it's a time when we start to think, this is a time when I really don't want to live anymore, or this is a time when why are people treating me so badly? So a lot of negative thoughts come to the mind. So we want to have the music in place that when people listen to our music at 3 a.m., they can still see this sunshine right above them, that they know that the next day will be a better day again.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know about that 3 a.m. that people do think about suicidal thoughts or whatever. It's at that time. Research has been done.
Yes, has been done.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, you can just search 3 a.m.
Okay. Interesting, right? Very interesting.
Yeah. So and now our music can actually promote a bit. Our music can actually be heard on Spotify, Apple
Great,
Music,
great.
and
under
even
3
YouTube
a.m. Music Collective.
Nice. Yeah.
I will after this,
Thank you.
Before we go, I mean, obviously, I think we got a surprise because you are going to play something on the violin before that. But before that, right? Just a quick fire round with questions, all right?
Yes.
And it's going to be a breeze for you, right? I'm going to start off with very easy ones, right?
Good.
Okay. Your favorite food and drink?
My favorite food, coffee.
Drink, food.
Food will be French fries.
Really?
Yes, I love French fries.
Okay.
Especially truffle fries.
Okay.
Oh.
Favorite hangout? Where do you like to hang out?
Anything that's al fresco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this one. Gymnastics, diving, or athletics? Choose one.
Actually diving.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
I love the water.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the water such that I even got a sailing certificate now that I want to start sailing.
To sail or to coach? To sail.
To sail,
Okay,
to sail. Really to
nice.
travel, to
Okay.
sail. Yeah.
Favorite music genre?
Oh, electropop.
Electropop?
Ambient and electropop ambient.
Okay.
I mean, that's why I formed a band called Zirconia to play electropop.
Nice. Your pet peeve when teaching music?
My pet peeve. Pet peeve meaning like
Something that you don't like when you're teaching somebody
okay. That they don't practice.
before they come.
Yes.
Before they come. Okay.
Well, of course, I've been very forgiving, so
Okay.
so yeah.
Okay. Great. So students, please train or practice before you.
Yeah.
do that. Biggest disappointment
In my life,
can be anything. I leave it up to you.
biggest disappointment. Wow, actually, I don't really have
Okay.
any now. I mean, I become quite positive, so I
Great.
don't really have
Great,
any
great.
disappointments now.
Good.
Yeah.
Stop there. I don't want you to say.
Yeah,
anything
because
else.
I
Good.
can't think of anything now.
Biggest success.
Biggest success. Well, biggest success would be that my husband.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
because he's a person that I can be so comfortable with,
Very
and
good.
he loves me too.
Your biggest role model?
Oh, well, role model. I think two actually, Nadia and my husband.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
What?
But why?
Why,
Nadia, why? No, Nadia we know already,
Yeah.
right? So my husband, why? Because he always encouraged me to remember that everybody is a good person.
Very good.
Yeah, so that's
sorry
very
if you don't mind. What's your husband's name?
Ben Cranen.
Ben Cranen. Shout out to you, my friend. This is the last question. One person you want to meet but you haven't met before or yet.
Oh, if I can meet God, that would be nice.
Really?
Yeah. In a way.
If you can call God a person, but yes, okay, okay.
Well, I guess because having gone through so much in
Yeah.
our lives, of course we went through therapy sessions and all that, but I think spiritual help
Okay.
has helped a lot as well. So if we can meet somebody from out there and just to thank him, although he already knows, I think that would be nice. It's more
Beautiful.
of gratitude.
Beautiful.
Right.
Now, Eileen, thank you so much. But I just have one last question before you play us. Perform. Thank you so much for performing for the SilverFox episode.
No problem.
Now, this last bit, right? Because this is episode number 54. We've come 1 year, pretty long way. And one of my
Not
friends.
easy for you.
Thank you so much for.
really not
No,
easy.
one of my friends was saying, at the end of the podcast, why don't you just come up with one theme saying that is the lesson learned for that particular episode, right? So I'm going to just change it a little bit, right? Your journey has seen its fair share of up and downs, obviously, right? So what is your one biggest SilverFox hustle takeaway from your journey so far? What is it? If you have to just say one thing that you've learned and you want to share to our listeners.
Challenge accepted. Yeah. Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why I'm saying this is because based on my journey as well as what I've seen with my students' parents, there's so much of stress in our lives, especially now with COVID, right? There's home-based learning, there is work from home.
Exactly.
But the thing is, this will be part of our lives for a long time. It might even be the new normal, right? So we cannot just let it be stressing us. And so we must find out what are our stresses. So it could be because Wi-Fi problem. So what do we do with Wi-Fi? Strengthen it, right? So challenge accepted. I embrace that as a problem. I find a solution for it. Instead of seeing stress is actually perceived threatening situations, right? So if we don't want to have stress on that, we should not see that situation as threatening. So we
Nice.
remove that. So how do we actually do that is to accept that challenges are there and we take it in our own stride, find solutions and accept the challenge.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That is a very good takeaway from today's episode, meaning you embrace a challenge,
Yeah.
take it as a challenge instead of always not thinking it as a negative thing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can change that into a positive thing.
Yeah, and because of that, my teaching has improved in the sense that I'm actually still receiving new students because I teach online now. So I improve in I use internet. I don't use Wi-Fi. So and I improve in my headsets. I improve in how I actually receive the sound. I improve in the microphone. So to find solutions to
Beautiful.
it. Yeah.
Eileen, thank you so much for being on
problem.
the SilverFox Hustle podcast. I think this has been absolutely brilliant. I think we talk about your life story. It has been something that is inspirational, not only to me and to the listeners, to someone who's going to watch it on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for being here. This has been episode number 54. Please don't go away, because Eileen will finish up with a performance and a wonderful thing that she's doing here as well. So
I'm not blocking the camera.
Nah, don't worry. Please, before you go, at the end of the podcast, click on the follow or subscribe button and leave a review also, right? So, till the next episode, the hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. Cheers. Very nice. Whoa, well done.
Yeah, switch on the mind.